The Straw Hats have reached a new level of strength and notoriety, and coming out of Wano, not only have they become emperors, but they also are one of the strongest crews in the world, probably top 3, and even have the bounties to back it up, as the lowest bounty, not including Chopper, is 366 million, with 4 people in the crew having bounties over 1 billion, and another being very close, which is Nico Robin, having a bounty of 930 million. And seeing where they've come from to where they are now has been such an incredible experience, and despite all the growth that they have accomplished, they still have so much more potential to become stronger, even getting a glimpse of what some of their bounties will be at the end of the series. Now, despite not everyone getting their own fight or power up through Wano, this crew is still a force to be reckoned with, and I'll argue that if you fought them all at once, not many people are coming out on top. And when the top 4 of the crew don't even sweat when an admiral arrives is a testament to show just how confident and strong they've all become, and that's what's so incredible about this experience, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But before all that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want more videos like this. I would greatly appreciate it, and maybe I'll give you a little kiss as a thank you. With consent, of course. Now, as mentioned previously, the Straw Hats have gotten so powerful that they're no longer afraid of the admirals, which makes sense as they just defeated an emperor and even replaced them as one. As we're this late into the game and we enter the final saga of the series, there are very few characters that should be able to bring out the full power of Luffy after awakening this legendary Devil Fruit and getting Gear 5th. Characters like Shanks, Mihawk, Blackbeard, Emu, Akainu, and of course legendary figures are really the only ones that should be able to give Luffy a hard time. Not saying that the admirals are weak because they are easily the strongest forces in the navy. For Christ's sake, they have Kizaru on there, and Fujitora that can summon meteors, and Green Bull that can control all sorts of plant life. These guys are very powerful that can affect an entire island, but Luffy has gone far and above these type of characters. Not saying that they shouldn't give him a hard time, because they definitely will. At this point in the game, Luffy really shouldn't be losing to an admiral, but that's just me personally. And of course, there's his new commanders, the monster trio, or I should say the new monster trio, Jinbei, Zoro, and Sanji, who each have bounties very close to one another. And with the inclusion of Jinbei, this does change the dynamic of the crew by a lot, as of course the original monster trio will always be the same: Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. They even triple down on this in Wano, that Zoro and Sanji are the wings of the Pirate King. But with Jinbei in the crew and them becoming emperors, the structure of the Straw Hats have to change, with Luffy separating himself, becoming the captain, the emperor, and of course he's going to need commanders like every other emperor, and in this case, this is Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei. And what's crazy is that Jinbei has a higher bounty than Sanji, despite defeating the second commander of the Beast Pirates, Queen, as well as gaining his own power-ups, having higher flames with the blue fire, as well as better hockey, a stronger body with his exoskeleton and bulletproof skin, and even able to heal himself, which is incredible. Going so fast he appears invisible, and being a part of the Vinsmoke family. Despite all of these attributes, Jinbei still has a higher bounty, and it does make a bit of sense because the government have always looked highly of Jinbei and consider him a major threat due to his experience, possibly being the strongest fisherman in the world, and him being a part of the mass outbreak alongside Luffy in Impel Down, and of course being a former warlord joining the Straw Hat Pirates, which is a massive upgrade. And we have yet to know Jinbei's full strength, which I found a little disappointing in Wano. I was hoping he'd get an opponent that could really push him to his limits, but we do know that Jinbei is very powerful, as he was able to take out Gecko Moria powered up in just one hit, a character that took the entire Straw Hat crew to defeat, and was able to fight Ace to a standstill, and we know that Ace was stronger than Luffy, at least back in the day. There are 2 members of the Straw Hats that have Conqueror's Haki, both of whom are capable of using the advanced form, utilizing it in their attacks. One of them is Roronoa Zoro, who I'll claim that him and Sanji kinda got lowballed on their bounties, but that's a discussion for another time. Zoro is insanely powerful, and he has not even reached his peak yet. Not only did he defeat the Lunarian King, the second strongest in the Beast Pirates, but he also learned how to use advanced Conqueror's Haki, shortly after learning he had Conqueror's Haki, as well as landing a permanent scar on Kaido when the only other person to do so was Kozuki Oden, who he was able to inherit his will and sword from. And of course, you can't forget that he was able to momentarily deflect / block the strongest attack we've probably seen in the series thus far, the combination of Kaido and Big Mom and their sovereignty attack. And despite everything I just said, Zoro still has so much more to learn, as he still needs to gain a Black Blade and master Enma, as well as advanced Conqueror's Haki. And once he's able to turn Enma into a Black Blade, it will also go up in rank and gaining himself a Saijo Owazamono. And I'll argue by the end of the series, Zoro will have not just one, but 3 Black Blades by come the end of the series. Despite all he's accomplished, he still has so much more room to grow, and he has to surpass legendary characters such as Rayleigh, Odin, Shanks, and of course his end goal, Dracula Mihawk, and become the world's greatest swordsman. And not only that, we also got a glimpse of what Zoro's bounty will be by the end of the series, as it was revealed Mihawk's bounty is 3,590,000,000. So by the end of the series, once Zoro surpasses him in not just name, infamy, and swordsmanship, but also bounty as well, we can assume that Zoro's bounty will be at least 3.6 billion, probably maybe even 4 billion, because he is the right hand of the future Pirate King. And then there's the archaeologist Nico Robin, who is only 70 million away from hitting the 1 billion mark, having a bounty of 930 million, and I think many people in the community will agree is well deserving. In fact, she should have had a bounty like this a very long time ago. I always joked that the government and even Oda never truly respected Robin and how much of a threat she is, despite all of the knowledge and her power that she possesses. I would even argue she's one of the strongest members in the crew, being a part of the top 6 in my opinion. As we enter the final saga of the series, it's like the world as well as Oda is finally respecting Robin for the threat she truly is, as she is the only person in the planet that knows the location of 2 ancient weapons, Pluton and Poseidon, one of the only people capable of reading the poneglyphs, and as Luffy now has possession of 3 of them, they are now the closest to becoming Pirate King, and now the threat is reaching an all-time high for Robin. Robin can now create a giant form of herself as well as a new demon form, and even knows Fishman Karate, and with the best Fishman Karate user on the planet, on the crew, you can expect her to get even better in the future. And what's truly insane about this predicament is the fact that Robin now has 930 million, which means by the end of the series, she's guaranteed to have a bounty over 1 billion once she finds the One Piece and uncovers the Void Century and the truth about the world. And that's insane, the fact that at least 5 members of the Straw Hats will have a bounty over 1 billion. I do think Usopp will have a bounty over 1 billion as well. Frankie is also one of those characters that the government don't truly respect, despite how powerful he is and how creative his mind is. The fact that he is probably one of the smartest characters in the series and the best shipwright and engineer on this planet, probably second to Vegapunk at this point. Frankie was capable of replicating Vegapunk's weapons and incorporating them into himself and the Sunny Go, and should be able to recreate the counter to Pluton despite burning the blueprints. Frankie's a very smart individual, so I wouldn't be surprised that he still remembers it in his head, or if the theory that the Sunny Go is this weapon, which would be pretty nuts. And he was able to defeat one of the Tobiropo Sasaki quite comfortably, and he was only in the General Frankie, not even using his actual body. The man is very powerful and it's kind of frightening. And then there's Usopp and the other members of the Straw Hats, where I don't really feel they did all that much. Of course, some of them got power-ups like Nami. She has Zeus in her possession and is capable of doing exactly what Big Mom was able to do with Zeus, as well as incorporate Zeus into her weapon and thus morphing it into different things like a club and a spike. Nami can manipulate the weather at her will, which is crazy, but as for Usopp and Chopper and Brook, they kind of got their own thing. Chopper could go into Monster Point for longer. That's nice, I guess. I would love him to have a new transformation altogether, because he is kind of lacking behind in terms of power. As a doctor, he is easily one of the best in the world. Usopp, I think we all agree, will have incredible character development and power boost going into Elbaf, whether it's picking up Mjolnir, whatever, as a reference to him having the 10-ton hammer all the way back in the day. We have yet to get an update on his observation haki. I do expect him to get better haki upgrades and maybe even be one of the best observation haki users in the world by the end of the series. Maybe even learning Future Sight I think would be great. Him learning Armament would be nice as well. And maybe he gets Conqueror's haki as well, completing his character arc, which I think would be icing on the cake. I do think all the Straw Hats at this point should know haki to a degree, but at this point, the fact that they're able to defeat people without using haki kind of lets you know that it's not the end all be all, and to me that's perfectly fine. But of the members that already know haki, I do expect them to get way better at it, with Luffy being probably the best haki user in the world by the end of the series as he fights Blackbeard and Akainu. I think that will be the key in defeating these characters, as well as Zoro getting even better observation haki and armament haki. He is probably going to fight Shiryu, who can turn invisible, so I think that's going to be a great testing grounds for him to get an observation haki boost, as well with Sanji in the future, and yada yada yada. But that's all I really want to say. I think the Straw Hats are very powerful now, but they're going to get even stronger in the future. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about them, what their bounties will be by the end of the series, and what you want them to be capable of doing later on. Until then, I hope you guys have a good day and a good night. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.